Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Meyer and it's time for more Star Citizen news, and apparently the Misc Odyssey Q&A just dropped, so let's go ahead and have a look and see what the heck this big new ship from MISC has in store. Alright, so the Misc Odyssey Q&A. Following the concept release of the Misc Odyssey, we took your community voted questions to our designers to provide you with more information on the most advanced exploration ship available to civilian starfarers. Okay, I guess barring the Carrick, right? So also check out this week's Inside Star Citizen episode of Space Odyssey as it takes a look at the Misc's latest. So we saw some gray box things and stuff for the Odyssey, which is kind of cool to see. Or is it white box? So what materials can the Odyssey refine, and does refined material go straight to the fuel tanks or the cargo bay? Because of course the Odyssey is able to refine Quantanium and keep it out longer and for more sustained periods of time. The Odyssey can refine Quantanium and hydrogen into fuel. The refinery solely exists to extend the ship's range, so refined fuel goes straight to the fuel tanks rather than the cargo bay. So you will still need something like the Starfarer, for instance, if you wanted to make Quantanium and store it before then deciding where it goes. It doesn't seem as if if you have a full Quantanium tank, you can then move the surplus into storage instead. There doesn't seem to be any like fluid storage tank or anything like that they've showed us, so I'm guessing this is just for sustaining your ship and not for like anything commercial. So, is the Odyssey able to refine materials from other ships, such as the ore bags from the Prospector? So it's not planned at this point, as there's no way to feed the onboard refinery other than the Odyssey's own mining arm. Unlike the Starfarer, of course, which they showed some concept, I believe in last week's ISC, they showed some like ports, which one would imagine at some point you'd be able to move the saddlebags from the Prospector and plug it into it, and then it could then do that way. So, in comparison to the Carrick, does the Odyssey have the capacity to conduct jump point mapping and scanning? So the Odyssey does not have the ability to scan or map jump points to the same extent as the Carrick. I guess emphasis there on same, which remains the best current ship for that particular role. In general, all ships will be able to detect jump points, though the Carrick is simply better at doing it and from much greater ranges. So on the Arc Star map, you can see that there are a bunch of different jump points around. Those are the more permanent ones that are mapped, and that's how general trade works. It does, however, seem as if there will be a scattering of, I guess, more temporary jump points where the Carrack will actually be able to shine and look for that kind of stuff. We do know that it is planned, although whenever it'll happen is up in the air, that they do actually want, and they do have star systems that are, let's say, on the drawing board, but do not exist on the Arc Star map as of yet. There was like a leak back in 2016 that had like an extended list of planets and systems, and some of those ones have not shown up yet on the Arc Star map, so there's, an idea for you there, I guess. Alright, so what specialized sensors or scanners, if any, does the Odyssey have? I don't see any dedicated scanning or mapping rooms or equipment, so what tools does it give its crew for exploration and making discoveries? So there are no dedicated rooms or specialized equipment as default, but that doesn't mean the Odyssey is incapable of performing these functions. A lot of future exploration gameplay mechanics will be driven from stations using MFDs, so the lack of dedicated room does not stop the activity from happening. However, ships that have dedicated rooms for specific features will have buffs to their abilities as a result. If you want to improve the scanning functionality of the Odyssey, there are multiple ships that excel in that role that will fit the Hangar, such as the Anvil F7CR Hornet, the Hornet Tracker, or the Terrapin. And of course, these ones have those like specialized scanning dishes and stuff, and they've spoken about the future of scanning before, saying that they do want those ships to be able to share the scan data with ships in their fleet. So if you're carrying one with you, of course it'll have to be something you make the active choice to do so, because you're going to be forfeiting something else like, cargo, like, if you want a Nomad in there with its, like its tractor beam and stuff instead. But that's maybe a route you can go. On the whole idea of having a lot of these features MFD bound, they've also spoken before about I forget now the servers, right? The avionics and stuff with the blades, and how you'd be able to mix and match and pull out things to slave turrets, or maybe perhaps you can instead have something for different operator roles on the ship. The Odyssey has like 8 or so seats in the bridge, so if you had several of those avionics things, then eventually you might be able to, you know, specialize your Odyssey to something specific, but it does seem like out the gate, it's kind of like a jack of all trades, master of none kind of ship. So we have some concept art here of, I guess, the refinery thing for the Odyssey there. So what's the biggest difference between the Odyssey and the Carrack? So the biggest difference is the Carrack specialization in various areas such as jump point scanning, mapping, onboard drones, and repair facilities. And its 3 modular cargo bays that can be outfitted in the future for various purposes beyond cargo. Think, I guess, like the Retaliator, where there's bays that can be in the future used for things like cargo, used for drop pods, and maybe even medical stations. So the Odyssey, however, favors a more generalized approach, with the flexibility to do a lot of separate roles depending on how you equip it with onboard ships, ground vehicles, and supplies. So it's essentially just a mobile station, and it's the stuff you put inside it that will then help to specialize it, but out the box it's not really that special. So can the Odyssey refuel other ships, or is it limited to the vehicles in its hangar? So the Odyssey can only refuel ships landed in its hangar via on-foot manual refueling. And we've seen on certain ships like the Gladius and the Saber that have now gone through gold standard that they do in fact have 2 ports for refueling. On the side, on the port side of the ship, and also on the back. So they're saying that with those ships that have the capability to land inside the Odyssey, you'll be able to use the on-foot parts to refuel it instead. So how can mail slot cockpits have excellent visibility? So the mail slot is actually quite a large opening and provides significant panoramic views for everyone on the bridge. And that's that whole thing where, like, you know, with the Freelancer, with the Prospector, the Prospector actually has a bubble canopy, but like the Freelancer has, like, you know, what they call a mail slot. And I guess with the inclusion of things like maps and stuff in the future, and like 3D geometry coming out of projections, it won't really matter that much. We've also seen that they have fixings in the future for things like the tractor beams to have render to texture of the outside of the ship. So if we can have those sorts of monitors as well for that kind of like visibility and that presence, then I don't really think it would mind. I personally really like the look of mail slot. So which ships will fit in the hangar? Can you please provide us with some examples of extra small ships? This is a really good point because they say XS ships, and on the ship matrix, there is no such thing. So an XS hangar generally refers to what the community calls small ships. The non-exhaustive list of ships includes the Avenger, the Eclipse, the Gladius, the Saber, the Arrow, the Gladiator, the Hawk, the Hornet, the Hurricane, the Terrapin, the Defender, the Mustang, the Buccaneer, the Herald, the Prospector, the 100 series, the 300 series, the Aurora, and the Blade. So quite a few. Then ships such as the Vanguard, Cutlass, Freelancer, Reliant, and Cartual are too big as they're the next size up. Okay, so what are the rings you can see the people standing in the background of this shot? Some kind of Xi'an grav lift? So the Odyssey leverages a lot of Xi'an tech in its construction, and the image below shows the main personnel lift. The top hangar also uses Xi'an tech to fold the roof door into a much smaller footprint than typically would be possible. And that's that there on the right-hand side. And yeah, that's because, again, with the Hujia, or whatever, the Human Xi'an Trade Agreement, they have a lot of like interesting Xi'an tech within like these human vehicles. So, do the size 4 shields on this large ship mean that a new component size category in between large and capital was added? So capital components are the same as size 4 components. We have 5 sizes in game, and the terms are often interchanged. Okay, so vehicle is size 0, small is size 1, medium size 2, large is size 3, and capital is size 4. So this ship will in fact have capital ship size or capital ship grade shields. Obviously there's still like, you know, military, performance, racing, all that kind of stuff, so like industrial, so it won't have, you know, the same, at least out the box, capital shields as like an Idris or a Javelin, but it will still be capital class. So does it come with a ground vehicle and a snub like the Carrick? So the standalone Odyssey comes with no included ships or ground vehicles, allowing you to customize your fleet as you wish. How much space is there for ground vehicles? Could you fit a Spartan or multiple Cyclones? So the ground vehicle area in the Odyssey is quite spacious and designed to carry vehicles the size of the Ursa rover. And while it shares an overall room with cargo, the two are separated, so carrying a maximum amount of cargo does not impede on the vehicle area. This means you can also sacrifice cargo space for additional vehicles, which is cool if you want to do that, I guess. It's not intended at this point to carry vehicles the size of the Nova, Ballista, or Spartan, so no tanks and I guess no Atlas platform vehicles, although more enterprising players may find a way to squeeze one in. Okay. So the brochure shows crew quarters, but does the captain have their own room and facilities? So being a non-military design, unlike the Carrick, there isn't a dedicated captain's quarters. However, every crew member has their own quarters, so it's up to the captain to decide which room they like the best. And then of course, you know, hopefully at some point you'll be able to customize them so you'd be able to tell whose room is whose anyway. Alright, so that's that. Thank you so much for watching this Q&A for the newest of Star Citizen's concept ships, the Misc Odyssey. I've been Meyer. Thank you for watching. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Twitch, we're going to be doing more Star Citizen stuff in a bit. But if not, feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. I do believe the monthly report will be coming out. I don't think there is one this month. I think there's going to be like a combined one for January, but we'll see. But otherwise, I still actually have last month's one to release anyway, so we'll do that instead. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, as always, be good.